Hello, and welcome to A Cup of Joe with Joe, a production of The Path to Restoration, where your redemption and your recovery meet. I am Joe. The purpose of this video series is to share with you who Christ followers really are, at least who we really are as Christ followers. I can tell you for sure who we are not. We're not perfect, not by any stretch. As followers of Christ, we know that we are in no position to condemn anyone. Instead, our purpose is to love one another right where they are at, just as Jesus loved us. Here at A Cup of Joe with Joe, we share our experience, strength, and hope as we walk side by side, acknowledging that Christ is in front of everything we do. You see, for as long as I can remember, my relationship with God was passive at best. I know that there was a God, but I did my thing and God did God's thing, and I was not a fan of organized religion. However, as I continued to work the steps of recovery, I found that I kept coming back to surrender. And I found that my surrender to God was incomplete. So I took advantage of an invitation to attend my local church, and there I found others who, just like myself, were on their own path. These others inspired and challenged me to engage with God more directly and actively. The interviews that will follow sometime this summer are some of those others who have influenced or inspired me, either directly or indirectly. We hope to bring you stories of real people with real struggles, with a real faith. And they're all on their own unique path to restoration. Today's episode is the pilot. I'm here with Heather, my lovely wife and fellow traveler on the path to restoration. Hi, Heather.
Hi.
So I have a few questions that I think our friends out there would like to know. The first question would be, what is your role here at the Path to Restoration? Get the administrative stuff out of there.
My role is in charge of the video and the audio. So it is my responsibility to make sure that the video is pleasing to the eye and the audio is pleasing to the ear.
And I can't do anything about this, so if you're offended easily,
listen to the audio only?
That might help.
I'm not offended.
You just... Oh, goodness. What does the path to restoration mean to you?
Well, first of all, let's discuss what the path to restoration is.
What is the path to restoration?
The path to restoration is a Bible study that we do.
Yes.
This is the Bible and the workbook that goes with it that we use for the path to restoration. It meets every week on Saturdays at 7 p.m. at our local church.
Yes, and that's Ginger Creek Community Church. I believe the address is 2850 Ginger Woods Parkway, Aurora, Illinois. So if you're in the area on a Saturday night at 7 p.m., show up. We'd love to have you.
And it is a Bible study, so
yes.
It is not a meeting, like a typical 12-step meeting.
Yeah, and we are always explaining to people that this is not a meeting. This should not be your meeting. This can augment your recovery, just like anything else that is recovery-based. But yeah, it's not a meeting. We simply
go over the steps. We study the steps is what we do, and study how the steps are discussed in the Bible.
Precisely. So within their biblical context,
yes,
where the steps fit.
Yes, and the people that come to this meeting, they are recovering addicts, recovering alcoholics. We've got overeaters. We have recovering overeaters, recovering porn addicts, recovering sex addicts,
and we might even have a gambler or two.
Yes, yeah. This is true. This is true. And as any meeting, people who are active in their addiction are welcome to come as well. Anything we can do, it by any means necessary.
Yeah, recovery by any means necessary, for sure.
And I am unique that I am not an addict and I'm at this meeting. And it actually, you wouldn't think it would help because I'm not an addict, but it does help because the biblical discussions help any scenario in which you are being separated from God. So it goes beyond addiction.
Okay.
And so it helps me understand addiction, being married to my spouse, being a recovering addict.
Mm-hmm.
It also helps me understand fellow travelers as well. And, one day, hopefully, we'll be able to include additional spouses and help them as well.
So you kind of answered the next question. What does the path to restoration mean to you?
Yes.
Do you have anything? Why do you want to be part of a Cup of Joe at Joe?
Well, as you had mentioned with regards to your path and leading up to this moment, it had been primarily you doing it on your own and sometimes in secret.
Mm-hmm.
And me finding out after the fact what you'd been doing and your discovery and what this had meant to you. And most of the functions you've had gone to are geared specifically towards men in the church, so I wasn't even invited, which I'm fine. By any means but necessary.
By recovery, by any means necessary.
And so participating in a Cup of Joe allows me to be directly involved in an endeavor with you and seeing you grow, because I like the direction that you're going and I would like to be part of that. I would also mention that we've been trying to do the pilot for months at this point. And every time something comes up, something gets in the way, we record, something happens, we don't like the recording, or
fire and brimstone fall from the sky, the house rumbles, something.
Yes. And ironically, something else that has occurred was within this past week that is also solidified why I want to be part of this. And that would be that, just like you, yes, I grew up being a Christian. My family is a Christian family.
Mm-hmm.
And I had actually gone away from church and Christianity, not necessarily becoming a non-believer, but just not participating.
Mm-hmm.
And it was for similar reasons to why you were not a fan. You are not a fan of organized religions. And I've started to try to get back involved, knowing that it is beneficial, and ran into some of the similar issues reason why I left.
Mm-hmm.
And it had occurred to me through that this past week that one of the reasons that this is so important, it's not just for non-believers out there to know who Christians really are. Mm-hmm. It's also so that the Christians out there can see how they are viewed by non-believers and the impact that they are having.
And it's interesting that you bring that up, because part of the reason I also wanted to do this video series was because Christ followers or Christians have been painted with this angry brush by the media, whether it's the news media or social media, just popular media in general. In one camp, the word Christian is a dirty word, and on another camp, it seems to have become a political affiliation. And, just like within any group of people, whether it's a spiritual group or a religious group or a racial group or a neighborhood. I mean, you have individuals with varying ideas and opinions. And, I'm in this camp where I don't think that a lot of those opinions about who Christ followers are accurately represent me, or not too many of the people that I'm familiar with. So, being able to show the world, we're just real people with real struggles, with real faith.
Well, I also have come to realize with events this past week that these individuals that turn me to not like organized religion, the mind frame, I should say, it's coming from a good place. It's just,
it seems so divisive.
It's divisive, and it's not even realized it's divisive. And so I want to bring to light that how it can be divisive, so to help my fellow travelers not to be viewed that way inadvertently.
Because we want to
help people.
Well, we also want to love people right where they're at, the way Christ loved us.
Exactly.
Because, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've, heard it said, well, yeah, I'll get to church, but I got to clean up first. And that's kind of putting the cart before the horse. You don't clean up and then go to church. You go to church to get cleaned up. And I'm not saying just, that the little white chapel in the middle of nowhere, it's not just sitting there and hearing the sermon. It's engaging with other believers, who have a similar faith, who understand that. And it's okay if, not everybody has the same interpretation or idea, because even Heather and I disagree on certain subtleties or certain ideas. And, that's just an opportunity for a conversation, and there's nothing wrong with a good conversation. So I think my next question would be, I think you've answered why you wanted to be a part of this, right?
Yes, I have answered why I want to be part of this.
So what are your hopes for the Path to Restoration and A Cup of Joe with Joe in the future?
Well, the Path to Restoration is local. So we can't read it. Not everyone can come to it. Mm-hmm. And so the Cup of Joe with Joe is a forum to bring the Path to Restoration to everyone.
Anyone who wants to listen to it.
Yes, exactly.
Cool. All right. So as you watch these videos, please feel free to share with us any constructive feedback that we can use to improve what we're doing, whether it's lighting and audio and video and technical, or maybe Joe shouldn't wear that flaming pink shirt.
You have a flaming pink shirt?
No, but I was just throwing that out there. But yeah, we look forward to bringing you a lot of amazing stories from a lot of amazing people who all believe in an amazing God. So I thank you for watching, and we really hope to come back to you soon with some amazing stories. Thank you. Do you think we should end with the Lord's Prayer? Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For yours is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Please come back, watch our videos, like them, share them, spread them all over social media. We're okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.